One of my favorite bread whenever I go to a bakery is anpan, which is the Japanese name for sweet bread with red bean paste inside. The bread is soft, pillowy, and fluffy, and it is hard to believe that you can actually make them at home. So let's start by making the bread dough. In a large mixing bowl, you'll need 250 grams of bread flour. Note that I used grams in this recipe to get a more accurate measurement, but I will list all the ingredients in both grams and cups in the description box, so fear not. To the flour, add 1 teaspoon of instant dry yeast, 2 tablespoons of white granulated sugar, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Give all of that a quick mix until combined. For the liquid, you'll need 60 grams of milk and 70 grams of water. Microwave that for 32 seconds at 900 watts to get the temperature up to 120 to 130 degrees Fahrenheit. It is important that the liquid is lukewarm, meaning when you touch it, it should feel just warm and not hot. This is so that the yeast will be activated. Pour the lukewarm liquid into the flour and save a few tablespoons. Also add in half a beaten egg, which is just 1 egg that's been beaten, and you just take around 2 tablespoons of it. Take a spoon and mix it until it looks shaggy and the liquid has been absorbed. I find that adding the milk in 2 batches will ensure that your dough will not get too dry when you knead. It is a neat little trick. Now get in with your hands, adding the remaining milk, and knead it until it comes together like a dough. You want to knead for about 5 minutes, just simple kneading, nothing hardcore here. The dough at this point should feel slightly sticky and tacky, and that is exactly what we're looking for. After around 5 minutes, at which point the dough should look something like this, you want to take 1 tablespoon of softened butter and spread it all around the dough. The butter will make the bread all nice and soft and smell amazing. Close the dough up and continue kneading. The dough will feel very slimy and wet, but that is totally normal. Just keep on kneading and eventually the butter will get absorbed into the dough. One of the kneading technique is to push the dough forwards and pull it back. Push it forwards and pull it back towards you. As you knead, you want to slam the dough on your work surface occasionally to make it easier to work with. It's like slam, push, slam, push. You want to keep on kneading and please don't give up until the dough is completely smooth and elastic, about 25 minutes. After kneading for about 20 to 25 minutes, you can see that your hands aren't sticking to the dough anymore. Check the dough to see if it passes the window pane test by taking a piece of the dough and stretching it out. You should be able to stretch the dough far out without it tearing apart until you see it becomes almost translucent and your finger can be seen through, hence the name window pane. When you tear the dough apart, the tear should be a round circle and not jagged or crude. Once you've reached that point where the dough looks translucent and does not tear apart easily, congratulations, that means your dough has been well kneaded and has formed elasticity and gluten. Form the dough into a ball by slamming the dough and tucking the sides underneath. The surface should look smooth and still feel soft. Now take the dough, place it in a bowl, cover it with a damp towel, and put the bowl with the dough in a warm place like a microwave to let it rise for 1 hour, and this is the first part of our fermentation. After an hour, the dough should have doubled in size. Poke a hole in the center with your finger. If the hole stays and does not bounce back, then that means your dough has risen nicely and is ready to go. Take the dough out and divide it into 6 to 7 pieces. You could weigh the entire dough first, divide the dough, then weigh each piece so all of the buns are equal in size. I was able to make 7 pieces today. Each of them were around 60 grams. After you've divided your dough, you want to take each piece, tuck the sides underneath, and roll them into a round ball. Then cover them with a damp towel again and let them rest on the countertop, just on the countertop, for around 15 minutes, just so the dough can relax a bit. Meanwhile, you can take some muffin liners and flatten it out. This will be kind of like a parchment paper kind of, substitute. Now for the filling, it's just anko, and that is the Japanese name for sweet red bean paste. You can usually buy these from Asian supermarkets. You want to take a scoop of it, 1.5 tablespoon or so will do. Using a cookie scoop to do this is totally life-changing. After a 15-minute rest, take a piece of the dough, roll it out flat with a rolling pin to about 1/4 of an inch thick, and plop a scoop of the red bean paste onto the dough. Now take the dough in one hand and use your other hand to wrap it up by taking the edge of the dough, stretching it just a tad, and closing it up in the center. Once all the edges have been gathered, pinch it close together and you can add a touch of water to close it up nice and tight. Shape it into a round ball and you'll find yourself a nice little bun. Once you're done with all the pieces, place them on the flattened muffin liners and onto a baking pan. So again, take a piece, roll it out flat, put the wrapping paste, wrap it up, and there you have it. I'm also going to show you how to turn a round bun into a really pretty spiral bun. You do the same thing, but instead of leaving it as a ball, you want to roll the bun with the wrappings in it flat and use a knife to cut lines down the inside of the dough, just like this, making sure that you don't cut all the way through. Then roll the dough towards you in a diagonal angle and wrap the ends together. And that is it, your spiral bun. All you have to do now is spread the tops of each bun with water or just cover the buns with a damp towel and let them rise for the second and last time for an hour until it has doubled in size. After an hour, preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And the last thing is to brush the top of the buns with the remaining half egg and a pastry brush. This will give your buns a really nice and golden brown look on the surface and make sure the surface of your buns stays soft. So don't skip this step. Bake the buns at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 17 minutes and your house will smell like homemade bread. After baking, I'd say let it cool for 5 minutes and just go in for it. You'll find yourself in love with how soft, pillowy, and fluffy the bread is, filled with that warm and sweet wrapping paste. I'm not even kidding. This seriously is a bread beyond bakery style. Well, maybe that's an exaggeration, but it's really good, especially when it's fresh and warm right out of the oven. If you like making bread or just want to make something with wrapping paste, you definitely have to give this a go. I know I always say that, but yeah, I'm gonna say that for all my bread recipes because I just love bread. So if you really want to try this out, I have everything from cup and gram measurements, directions, details, and extra notes and tips all in the description box, so you can just check that out. And I'll see you guys next time.